You are a spirit having a human experience. And what's the purpose of the human experience? To ascend, to continue to grow and develop in our soul self. Keep spirituality simple. Keep your metaphysical and your spiritual work and enlightenment as simple as possible. We have the capacity to do anything, but you want to do it in a way that is beneficial to your body, mind, and spirit.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Vibrant Soul Society, The Conversations. I'm your host, Baba Sam, the Miracle Man. Our mission here is to help remind you and help you to discover that you are greater than your thoughts. Today, we are very blessed with a bright, vibrant soul with us, Tara. Welcome to the Conversations.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to dive into this day today. So, for people who are unfamiliar with you, who is Tara?
So I am an empowerment medium. Literally, that is my whole personality. I resonate. I work with spirit. I've done this for over 23 years. I'm a natural born medium. So my whole platform is empowerment. Spirit works through me, it can be anything from evidential mediumship to trance mediumship, but to provide guidance to those that are looking to move forward. My whole path is literally to move forward. And that is other people can do backwards work, go back to the past, go that way. And I don't mean backwards in a bad way. I just mean the stuff from the past. That's not my forte. My forte is us moving forward and how to embrace a really authentic, powerful existence now and moving onward.
I love that title, empowerment medium. That's really what it is. We want to move forward. We want to dwell on the past. So that's really important. So how did you get to this space? How did you, from your normal human world to, into this more spiritual realms?
That is a question that is really interesting to me because I feel like I give it something a little extra every single time I think about something a little bit extra. And what came to me when you said it this time was literally to remind myself that I've always done this work. It is my natural, innate self. My love language is to give. I will give until I am like flat out on my back and have nothing else to give. So I want to see people prosper. I want to see people really connect to their higher selves, to spirit. Because when I found spirit, or spirit found me and said, "Hey, can you pay attention to us?" I was like, okay, I'm listening. And everything they gave me was, you are a spirit having a human experience. Acknowledge the human experience, girl, and then move on. Like acknowledge it and keep going. So for me, it was right from the get-go. I've always been interested in things like the paranormal and, supernatural kind of stuff. It's always been interesting and fun to me. And it wasn't until we lost a child many, many years ago, and I've lost two, unfortunately, one last year, he was 19, and then one much, much longer ago. And that I realized that I could feel spirit. I could feel people on the other side. And that there were just voices talking in my head. I was actually hearing things. And of course, you don't get nurtured back then. I'm 53 years old. And you don't get nurtured in your spiritualism back then. Your family generally kind of comes from a place of like, are you okay, girl? Like, do you need to see a psychologist? Like, what's going on with you? So I just had to kind of find my way myself. And I will say this, though, in all of that, I never felt lost. I never felt alone. I never felt like I was, super different than everyone else. I just had these little idiosyncrasies. And when I lost that first child, my sister, who is also a medium but doesn't practice like I do, she said, there's a spiritualist church. Go check out the spiritualist church. It's 10 minutes from your house. And I was like, okay. And I just found a really great base, a foundation to kind of explore everything else.
So it sounds like the first child loss, unfortunately, was a catalyst for something greater to come into your life.
Absolutely, it was. And, loss is loss. It's hard no matter whether they are, still inside you, whether they have had 19 years with you. Loss is loss. But it really was the catalyst to allowing me to be open to all that spirit has to give.
our parents don't know about our little quirks or little things going on because they don't know this other realm. A lot of people don't know this at all.
Yeah, no lie detected. Like literally, my dad is Roman Catholic, my mom is Anglican. And so this is interesting, but also there's a lot of judgment from my parents' generation. When I said to my mom, I'm going to stop being a bookkeeper and I am going to do this work full time, she was appalled. She was horrified. She didn't understand it because her perception of this kind of work was like charlatan. It was like, what do you mean you suddenly talk to dead people and you can provide evidence? And she didn't care that the evidence was bang on. She was worried what everyone else was going to think.
Mm,
And I like to think she was worried about that on my behalf, not so much on her behalf. But that's it. I mean, it's just a concept that for her kind of came out of the blue. One minute I'm a bookkeeper, and the next minute I'm saying, hey, I have this connection. I can help people reach their loved ones. I can help people, reach a different vibration themselves. And she's like, didn't you just do books like 10 minutes ago? Like, weren't you just like doing someone's books? And she's not wrong. But again, it's all about how she's been brought up to believe in this.
right. It's still the generational, it's just the way it was carried through. It was always expected that we're always taught that we're human. We forget the whole spiritual aspect that is there. Even the religious people don't understand that we are Holy Spirit.
Truth. Absolutely. And the really phenomenal thing about that is that I talk a lot on my platforms about we are spirit having this human experience and why the human experience is so important. So many people want to be more etheric. And right now, let's be honest, there's a lot of people that want to do this work. And I always say that everyone is a psychic and everyone is a medium. Doesn't mean everyone should do the work. So they all get caught up in this and they forget in their religious standpoints, like where they sit with, organized religion is that you believe in a God, which is an etheric being. You believe in the archangels, which are etheric beings. You believe in all of this that is not tangible, right? For me and you, it's tangible because we feel it, we can accept it, we trust the process. But for them, they're talking about, well, how do you know you're talking to someone on the other side? Even if you provide the best evidence, you provide names, you provide dates, you provide, I'm a feeler, so I do a lot of characteristics. I do a lot of personality traits. I do how they
Mm.
passed away because I can feel it. That's more the evidential mediumship I do. But then you turn around and you say to them, well, wait a minute. Like, I'm not here to trigger anyone, but you believe in the archangels, don't you? You believe in everything that was, written in a book and handed to you. You weren't there. So really, it's not tangible. And they can't get past that. So, and that's okay for me because I've read for every single denomination of a religion. You throw it at me, someone has come to me from that religion and asked me to help them. To whether it's to bring a loved one through and give them solace that the person is still in spirit with us, or whether it is their guides coming through and giving them, direction. There has not been one one religion that someone hasn't like come to me for. So
Well, once again, that religion that they believe in is their human experience. We're ultimately spirit, so it doesn't really matter who the vessel is per se.
but again, I mean, these kinds of conversations, if you go onto other platforms or anything like that, can become like nasty. And people will just, they double down on the fact, like, this is what it says in this book, and that's it. And they just can't see past that. So for me, I don't judge anyone on that. It doesn't bother me. Like you said, it is what it is. This is spirit working through us to have that human experience. And what's the purpose of the human experience? To ascend, to continue to grow and develop in our soul self. At least that's what spirit told me, and I'm going to go with it. That's what spirit directly told me, though. Just came through and said, you're doing this work because of this. Thank you for the confirmation of why I'm doing this, my purpose, and now I can carry on.
We're here to expand through all of our human experiences.
Yep.
If we just observe those human experiences so we don't keep repeating the same human experience that we don't want to repeat.
right? Over and over again. And then, it's just that repetitiveness is so consuming when you come back again. It doesn't become easier. And I think sometimes people think that, well, I learned half of this when I was here last time. I didn't embrace the whole thing, but I got half of it. And when we come back again, they think it's going to, well, I've done half of it. So it's only going to be half as hard. And really, in truth, it's like, buckle down, buddy. Now you've got to really work at this to get past this. And that's where people do a lot of that past life work, right? Where we go in and we take a look at, why are we packing all this baggage over here with us? Like, why can we not work through this? And it's because you're really not doing the full job when you're here. And so they just keep adding it and adding it and adding it.
Right. That's another rabbit hole we can go down to, that there's really no past life, that everything exists right here, right now. But what timeline are you on?
Well, and that's another thing, right? So I keep things as simple as possible, because I find that the more rabbit holes that we go down, and the more that people add things, we all have different belief structures. And so I'm totally like, you do you, baby, and I'm cool with that. But I try to keep it really simple for the people that work with me, because they are everyday individuals, right? They
Mm.
want to open up to their spiritualism, they want to open up to their enlightenment. But the more complicated we make it, the harder it is for them to find the path that really suits them. They spend so much time doing the rabbit hole thing. And I love research and I love all of that. But my whole forte is, keep it simple. Keep it
Mhm.
simple, find the path. Then you can go and do the extra stuff. There's people that do soul retrievals. There are people that do, cord cutting, and all those things are valid in whatever capacity. And the people who need them will do them. Whether they're timelines, fifth dimension, fourth dimension, all those dimensions, those are great too. But again, if we can keep it simple for people to just find where they need to be right here in their humanness, their higher self will evolve. And then they can go down all the rabbit holes they want to go down. Right?
Right. I really like that. The simple isn't the truth, and you're here to empower people. You're here to help move them forward, not bog them down with more rabbit holes.
That's it. I don't want them to get caught up and question every single thing that's being given to them. It's not even what I want. It's what spirit it says is, Tara, show them this. Let them embrace and embody this. If it resonates with them, then they can go along their way and continue to grow and develop in whatever capacity that they see fit.
Right. Because I can see a lot of people get so caught up in the rabbit holes that they don't advance. They're too busy in research as opposed to living.
Exactly. There it is right there. That's it right there. Hallelujah. Amen. Make a bumper sticker. That's it. They really, really do get caught up. And I always talk about, I talk a lot about rabbit holes on my platforms. And when I do, I remind people that there's nothing wrong with a good rabbit hole. Like, I went down the whole Doreen Virtue rabbit hole when apparently I was like so out of it doing my own work. I had no idea she had transformed and transmuted into someone different. And all of a sudden someone said to me, you know that she's, and I was like, oh, I do not know. But I went down that rabbit hole and I couldn't come back up. I was finding things out and I was okay, but what purpose was it for me? Well, literally, the purpose was to see that people can shift and adjust and change. In my personal and humble view, she was disingenuous when she came out with it, but I had missed the whole thing. I think I was 3 years behind her, this happening. So rabbit holes are good as long as you don't go so down so deep that you don't come back up.
And you don't lose the core of your essence, your purpose while you're here.
Yeah, for real. Because here is important. Here is absolutely important.
Right. You chose to incarnate to have this human experience. So let's find your purpose so you can move forward.
Yeah. And be open to it though, right? You be open to it, to take a look at it and be like, oh, I don't know what she's talking about, but I think I need to like step back. That's okay. Step back, absorb it a little bit, sit with it and see what it is. We have the free will choice, but more importantly, Sam, we have personal responsibility. So it is up to us to do the work. Spirit's not doing it for you. You and I aren't going to do it for them. We're just opening up doors and opportunities and saying, hey, do we resonate with you? Do you like the message that we're giving? Does it feel good for you? Then come visit. Come step in with us for a minute. Take what you need, leave the rest, and then go on to your next teacher. Go on to the next person. right? Go on to the next rabbit hole, maybe.
Right. And ultimately, what I'm trying to get them to do is get rid of the rabbit holes, get rid of all this mental interference. Remember your spirit and just follow you.
Okay, so let's talk just a second about trusting the process.
Yeah.
There is so much when people usually come to me, they are already in a state of influx. They are already recognizing that they are uncomfortable in their human self. There's something missing. That's a big thing. I'm lost. Those are the words. So, and then we go and we start looking at what that is. Why do you feel you have to be lost right now? Why do you feel like you're missing something? And we kind of have to look at that space. And the biggest problem is that they want you and I or whomever to tell them what it is that they're missing. But that's not our role. That's not spirit's role. Spirit's role is to give you the tools to find out yourself. Who knows you best? You do. So you know yourself best. We will help you open those doors. We will give you the tools that spirit gives us to do that work, but you have to trust the process. You have to trust that this isn't going to happen in like one release session or one past life recession. You have to trust that there is a process to this. And I like to use this analogy. It took, 5 minutes to gain 5 pounds, but it takes you 5 years to lose 5 pounds. If you know, friends. So it's going to take time. It doesn't happen overnight, and you have to be invested. You have to be invested in trusting that process.
Yeah. That's such a good point that most people are thinking that they're missing something, that they're lacking something. And if they're lost, they're usually too much on their mind, overthinking things and just blocking their true self. But people have that issue that we're not taught to take personal responsibility. It's somebody else's job out there to fix you or guide you or whatever it may be.
Absolutely. And then you take that a step further and go with, okay, so if someone else is going to fix me, then I need to be able to focus on having to do stuff for other people. So now we're no longer focused on this beautifulness. We are focused on how much can we do for other people? What does everyone else need? And so then we don't have time to work on ourselves and we are deemed selfish, right?
Yeah, but the self-care is the most important thing in the world.
Absolutely. Bar none. The most important thing. And it's not selfish. And that's one of the things I try to really teach people. If you take anything from me besides trust the process, because that is like my mantra, it should be tattooed on my forehead. But not that you could see it anyway, but that's the process. But it's not selfish to look after yourself, because in the end, when you're in good energy and you're high vibing and you're feeling all the feels, that goodness, that exudes from you. Right? Same as the negative stuff exudes from you. So if you're sitting in this energy of like healthy, happy ego, I'm good. I know what I'm doing for myself. I'm self-loving. I'm self-caring. I'm realigning, reconnecting to who I am, both body, mind, and spirit. Then you put out that energy and people are going to walk by and be like, damn, I love that energy. I want to be like that vibe. I don't want to be like her, but I want to feel that vibe. And they'll start kind of searching for that. What's that vibe look like? Where can I get that vibe? How do I make that vibe mine? And that's not being selfish. That's being beneficial to everyone and yourself first.
Right. You let that slip in pretty quick. On the people really caught that, but a lot of people can't answer that question. Who am I? They don't know.
That's why the purpose question comes up all the time, right?
Yeah, because they don't know who they are.
They don't know who they are, so they can't figure out what their purpose would be. And it's like, that question comes up so much. The I'm lost and the what's my purpose? And I find it interesting personally, from a personal level, from my human self level, that people have no qualms asking someone else what their purpose is. Excuse me, hello, can you tell me what my purpose is? And if they don't like it, they'll go to someone else. Can you tell me what my purpose is? Instead of sitting with it and really feeling it. And that comes down to a lot of the types of people that right now are doing spiritual work. We're inundated with people coming out and doing, soul coaching and spiritual business coaches and all these things now. And people are forgetting that it really comes from a place of just don't worry about starting a business doing spiritual work. Instead, worry about how your higher self is connecting, your body, mind, and spirit. How are you connecting? Focus on you first, worry about all that other stuff after.
My opinion is that you don't have to figure out your purpose. You have to be quiet and still, and your purpose will be revealed to you.
And I love that. So you can probably tell by my whole demeanor, I am a little bit extra. I'm loud, I'm boisterous, I'm the bull in the china shop kind of gal. That's my personality, and I'm cool with that. And the people that resonate will run with me. So when people always say to me, oh, let's go into meditation, I'm like, I can give a good meditation, but I'm not sitting in meditation with you. But mindfulness and stillness is very different to me than sitting in meditation. It is a thought process that allows you to clear your mind and to allow the process, which is the new thoughts, to come into that space, new clarity, new focus, and new understanding. So I'm all for you figuring out your purpose because, again, who knows you best? You. Do you want some tools to help you? Okay, I got you. Spirit's got you. The team will work with you, but you got to be open to it.
Be open to it is hard for a lot of people to be open to new ideas, new ways of being. It's very challenging because they don't trust themselves.
No. But the cool thing about that is that they made that first step. They contacted me or whomever that they've contacted and they've said, I think I want to open up. I think, and then it's up to Spirit and I to be able to give them enough for them to want to move in further. I don't owe anyone anything. Being able to do the work that I do, I don't owe anyone anything, but I do feel compelled for people to feel more enlightened because I feel that when we are all working in that enlightened stage where we're feeling self-worth, self-love, and that exudes outwards, then the whole collective, that bad kind of word that's happening right now, but collective starts to feel that. And again, the disharmony and the decisiveness right now energetically is like a little bit overwhelming for some of our little sensitive hearts. So it would be nice that people continue to find a reason to open up to more enlightenment, healthy enlightenment, simple enlightenment.
Right. The simple enlightenment. I like that. And just do mindfulness or stillness, those little practices just to get grounded and centered. I tell people the practice is 10 minutes a day. It's really not a big deal just to get centered. That's it. But we're here for that human experience. So go have that.
Yes, go out and have that. I do something called the gap. I ground, I ascend, I put a prayer of intention and a prayer of protection around myself. And I teach that to every single person in my mentorship programs or just clients that come through and just feel like they're like having a moment. I'm like, okay, baby, you need to gap. Wake up every morning, set yourself up for success. It takes me 30 seconds. Now, it might take the person who starts off 15 minutes, but it takes me literally 30 seconds in the morning to set myself up. And I know when I haven't done it. I'm the person who wants to go and experience life.
Hmm.
And I do. I want to experience life. And one of the things right now that is really challenging for me as a human is that I lost my 19-year-old son last year. And so I'm in a court process. I am in a investigation process and I'm still doing the work with all my people. And so I am now in very much the human world, right? Emotions, grieving, maybe even sometimes I feel slightly depressed. And then I'm able to adjust and shift into the next stage and move into that spiritual realm where I can connect easily and effortlessly. And all of those things which makes my work valid because I show how we can be. And not that I recommend anyone lose a child to do this. Let me tell you, it is the most heartbreaking, horrific thing you can feel. But what I'm saying is, there is a way to still work with your human emotions, to understand them, to validate them, and to assess them, but to also shift and change them as you continue to move through your everyday experiences. And that to me is powerful. It's powerful. And I'm grateful that I have a spirit team that helps me do that.
Yeah, those emotions, I can imagine losing a child in the emotional state and to lose two of them, the emotional state. The energy of grief is something that can't be accurately defined.
I agree with you. And I will say this, as an evidential medium, I sit with people, a lot of people that have lost someone that has been so devastating for them. And it was not until Ryan passed that I could actually look at them and say, I feel you with every ounce of my being, I can understand what you are going through. It wasn't until Ryan passed that I could do that. And so now I feel like I'm on a slightly different level than what I was before Ryan passed, right? In terms of my ability to understand what my client, my friend, my co-creator is sitting with. And I feel that that really does make a difference in the work that I do.
Yeah, it sounds like his passing was like a real catalyst for you to stepping into the work that you're doing.
It changed it for sure. And one of the interesting things about this, and I haven't shared this a lot on my platforms, was that I always knew something was going to happen to Ryan. I was a bit of a helicopter mom. If you don't know what that is, go look that up. I have an older daughter. She's 2 years older than Ryan. With Ryan, always, where are you? What are you doing? He got his license, and I was like, prayer protection, prayer protection, prayer protection, because I never knew what was going to happen to Ryan, but I always knew something was going to happen to him. And there was nothing I can do about it because that's life. We can't stop certain things, but I could feel it in my, like, with every ounce of my being. I didn't make him live his life as though he was in a bubble or anything like that. But I was conscious. I wanted to know where he was. What was he doing? Who was he with? A siren would go by and I'd be like, you driving? Like, you okay? What happened was so beyond what I thought may occur. It just knocked me right out of my shoes. Spirit was giving me signs, but not necessarily telling me I could do anything about it.
Because we don't know what his soul journey was.
Exactly. It wasn't about me. There was lessons in it for me, for sure. I don't know what those are yet, and I'm not actually actively looking for those right now. I'm looking to get through the humanness of it all. And I always said right when it happened that I was going to focus on my humanness. My humanness needed to be bar none because I trusted spirit. And I trust that spirit will give me all the signs and signals of what I needed to learn from it when I have dealt with it at this level.
Yeah, that's it. Just being a human with that, being okay with that. That's perfect because energy of grief just needs to run its course, whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, we don't know what his higher purpose was, but that was ultimately his lesson because we're all souls. We have our paths, our own things. And that's what we have to see. Sometimes parents are those helicopter moms. They try to dictate life. And sometimes we just have to let the child go and say, okay, he's out in the world. This is his journey, his way of being. And once again, it's all about tapping into our own knowing and go do you.
Yeah. Yeah. And as I said, I didn't put him in a bubble. I didn't, but I was aware. And you had this little inkling going on inside of you. And one of the things I will say is that everyone does this differently. The grieving process, it's everyone does it differently. And there's no timeline to it.
Mm.
So, and grieving, you can grieve for the rest of your life, and that's not a terrible thing. It just means that you are sitting in this space and this is how you deal with it. And again, as long as it's not defining you as a person, emotions in any way, shape, or form, as long as it's not defining you as a person, you get to stay in that space as long as you continue to grow and develop elsewhere.
That's a really good point. Don't allow it to stunt your own spiritual growth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the really challenging thing. So I just want to back up a little bit because of the way your mom was reacting from bookkeeper to medium. Did you have any kind of training or was this an insight that I need to go do this now?
So this is something, again, that I do talk about. I am not big in certification. Who in Goddess's great name is going to come down and say to me, oh, you are a perfect medium or you are the best medium that. So I don't believe in a lot of certifications. I will not certify anyone. You can mentor with me. I can teach you everything I know about how to be a pure conduit for spirit, but I ain't certifying you, baby, because who am I to certify you? So my training came from the spiritualist church when I went there. And it was such a cool experience. I went in there and this woman came down the stairs. It's an actual church. So it was, I guess, donated to the spiritual, I don't know, society from a actual funeral home. And they moved it onto this land. So we have a chapel, we have pews. It's really cute. It's called the First United Spiritualist Church in Burnaby, British Columbia. It's super cute. Go check it out on the website just for fun. Just see what this little spiritualist church looks like. I came in there And I thought I would just see what it was about. And I came with my neighbor and I dragged her with me. She's still my neighbor 26 years later. And so we went in there and it was just this cute little church. And this woman came down the stairs and she just looked at me and she said, "Oh, here's our next medium." I wasn't even 100% sure back then, Sam, what a medium was. I was like, "Oh, okay." So I went into some circles. I sat in some groups. We called them development circles or intuitive circles. And I sat in there and I was like, okay, this is natural. I found a mentor. She's passed over now, but I found a mentor and I sat with her for about a year and a half. And I picked up some really great nuances in how to deliver messages. So I learned what was good etiquette in giving a message. But my personality is very, very different than a lot of people's. Like I said, I come in and I just come in. So I took some different classes, different courses, but I never was worried about being certified as anything. I went to Stansted, which is in England, at the Arthur Findlay College, not for me, for my girlfriend. So I went there. They didn't even know what to do with me. They stuck me in trance mediumship, which was great. I was already doing trance, but it was something cool to add in. They do it very differently than we do it over here. I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. So it's very different. And I just developed, I just trusted the process. So it is a very natural process for me. And so I'll go to a class here, I'll go to a class there, because I always believe, that there's something for me somewhere to add to my repertoire. But even that, I just trust spirit. I'm just like, spirit will tell me where to send it. I don't need to know what's wrong with you. I don't diagnose people. I don't do anything like that. Not my place to do that. I just let spirit do the work and trust the process.
Yeah, that's your theme is the trust the
It
process.
really is.
Well, we have to realize that life is working out perfectly, despite what the mind is saying. You're being
Mhm.
guided a certain way. If you can just be still a little bit, maybe pause and say, okay, reflect what's going on. Or it's going to repeating that loop that you don't want it to repeat in.
Right? And that's it, though. Like, take what happens. And it's your personal choice if you let it define you.
Hmm.
If you let it define you, okay, that's yours. But if you say, oh, I understand this, you don't have to like it. But if you can understand why this is the way it is or why this happened the way it happens, then you have the ability to move past it. To be like, hey, thank you for that. Let's carry on. I need to go over here as quickly as possible. Or I'm going to embrace that. That I will embrace and validate. And to me,
Mm.
that's stretching the process,
Yeah. And that's it, is moving past it, not letting yourself cling and hang on to those things.
right? I find that's an excuse when people do that. I
Yeah.
I always say, oh, are you being lazy right now? Are
Mm.
you like not wanting to like dive in because it's too much work? It's too hard to look at this. Is that what you're doing? And they will always be like, you're right. That's exactly what I'm doing. And then we get to move on. A little bit of lightheartedness when you're dealing with something hard and heavy goes a long way to allowing them to feel safe. That what's on the other side of where you are at, what's on the other side is good. It's worth the work.
That's really the thing. A lot of people don't want to do that because it is too hard to look at. Some of those things are very difficult to look at in life, but we have to look at them so we can move past it so that it doesn't become what you say, a roadblock, an obstacle.
Huh? For sure. Positive movement forward should always be the goal.
Right. Even if it's
Should
a one
oh,
little step.
yep. And little steps are not bad things. Most of the time, the baby steps are the key to actually getting it done, right? Being gentle with yourself, giving yourself grace as you do the work allows you to process it as you're doing it. If you jump in full speed ahead, and I'm okay with that, you want to go full speed ahead, we can do that. But if you can give yourself grace and do it gradually, you're going to find that you appreciate it more. And when you get to that final place, whatever that looks like, however that looks like, you can be like, oh my goodness, that was such a journey, such a revelation, such a process, but I loved it. And it was easier than I thought. And it didn't hurt as much, right? It didn't hurt as much.
I love that quote there. Easier than we thought because the mind gets into all these complicated difficulties and future guessing. And you
Yeah,
just remind us tiny little steps. Doesn't matter, it's just a tiny little step. will make that big change. And you'll see that it is easy if you break it down.
Absolutely. And we're not fortune tellers. We can't tell your future. Spirit cannot tell your future. Why? Because you have free will choice and you have personal responsibility. We can see some things, for sure we can. And spirit can guide you a certain way, but it's up to you to walk those paths. So when people come and say, tell me what my future holds, I will stop them right there. You're not the only person in the equation, right? You're not the only person in the equation. Whether it's a situation, a circumstance, there's other factors that go into it. So if someone tells you to go straight down the path, just go straight down the path and you'll be fine. And you come along the path and you're like, I'm really drawn to go left. What that person saw going this way changes. Not completely, but enough that now you've got a new journey. So you can't go to someone and say, you told me I was going to have a boyfriend in April of 2024 and that didn't happen. Well, it didn't happen because the person wasn't aligned. The path wasn't taken. So many different things because there's no such thing as a fortune teller.
The only thing they can really do is saying, this is the current energy.
Exactly.
The energy is going to be different an hour from now.
Yes. 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 Now, I mean, there are certain things that I can say, if someone says, if I have a really, really close client that comes to me and says, oh, I'm trying to have a baby. Am I going to have a baby? And spirit says to me outright, yes, you can tell her that. I will say to her, I will never not say what spirit gives me, but I will say to her, spirit says that you will have a baby, that you will have a baby. And spirit never fails me. So if she doesn't have a baby, there is another circumstance that's outside her control. She's fully capable of having that baby, as long as someone is coming in and helping out a bit here. Do you see what I'm saying? So there are things that I will know, but I cannot predict when or how or with who or any of those things. Those are up to each of us individually to experience. And spirit, in my view, doesn't even care how that happens. Do you understand? They're not here for the every little nuance of it. They're here for you to know that this is a possibility, a very big possibility, that this is going to happen. Now embrace it and make it happen if you choose. Spirit says, yes, have a baby. You can do this. You can have a baby. Now it's up to you to make that happen.
Yeah, it's another interesting point that spirit isn't hung up on the expectations of the results.
Yeah. Can you imagine if spirit was up there taking notes? Like Metatron was up there and was like taking notes and being like, oh my goodness, I told her she could have a baby, but Susie didn't do the work. So now I got to make a note for when she comes back. You know what I mean? Spirit is energy, and energy has limitations no matter what anyone says. Thank you so much. You make everything else happen. Otherwise, they would be living their lives for us.
Right. That's it. They're not living their lives. When I was going through my healing journey, it sure was a do this, do that. No rhyme or reason. Just no more than that. Just little steps, and it was up to me to execute.
Perfect. You executed it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Celebrating.
Yeah. 15 months later of listening to spirit, no diseases.
You listened to spirit. You took
Right.
care of yourself. You did what you needed to do with the guidance and the tools that spirit gave us.
It wasn't to realize everything is within us because we are spirit ourselves and we're connected to all that is. And if we just get this mind out of the way, and that's really my focus, get the mind out of the way, your spirit knows everything. You don't need to figure things out. You just need to execute.
No, because our mind, we're taught that our mind is such a big deal. Educate yourself, right? Always be learning, always be growing, always, blah, 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 and use your mind. Why aren't you thinking? Think straight. Oh, okay. I didn't know I was thinking crooked. But, all those things we're constantly told. Use your head, use your head, use your head. You have a good head on your shoulders. All these things that makes us think that we should be thinking all day, every day, constantly overworking. And one of the things that I have to really focus on is because I'm like a whirling dervish in my head, I have to just remind myself, stop, breathe, realign, go, stop, breathe, realign, go. Otherwise, I fall into that pattern of too much mind. And that's not a great thing. Not in my case anyway. Yes, it does. I'm a manifesting generator. So if you do human design, I don't, someone else does it for me, but they said to me, "Oh, I have to do your chart." And then she came back, she's like, "Oh, this makes so much sense. You are a Manny Jenny." I have all these ideas and thoughts and things that I want to do. So I've had to learn how to be mindful in my work, right? Be cohesive in my work and not be like, bling, bling, bling. It's not easy. But I do.
Uh, you know how to stop yourself and say, okay, focus.
Yeah, ground, girl, ground.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're starting to run out of time here today. Is there anything that you want to discuss before we wrap up for today? Anything that wasn't discussed that you want to bring forward?
You know what? I love the conversation. It covers all the platform information I love to put out there with on my social media, in my courses, whatever it is I'm doing. It is literally keep spirituality simple. Keep your metaphysical and your spiritual work and enlightenment as simple as possible. You can add more to it later, but if you are looking to really align yourself with a higher vibrational being, your soul self, then just keep it simple until you get to that space where then you're like, okay, well, I know what I'm doing. And now I can start looking at other things. I can start looking at more potential over here or a rabbit hole over there or whatever. We have the capacity to do anything, but you want to do it in a way that is beneficial to your body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah, that's a really good point. First establish root into who you are and establish that spiritual connection before you start diving down into all these other avenues. Because sometimes you're like, oh, I'm spirit. Let me go look at all these other things. Like, no, ground yourself in spirit first. Get
Yeah,
used to that as your home for a while.
absolutely. Absolutely. First thing I tell anyone that wants to work with me is, okay, let's do a little bit of like spiritual 101 work, like, and see where you are.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you add things to it later, or spirit will add things into your
Mhm.
repertoire as things go. I was
Exactly.
doing,
We all have different aspects of
yeah.
we do, and that's why you have many teachers.
Right, right. We have many teachers, right? It's not just one way. There's many influences.
Absolutely.
All right, Tara, if people had questions and want to reach out to you, how could they do so?
Okay. Speaking of keeping things absolutely simple, all my platforms. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook. I have a private Facebook group called Empowering Intuitive Souls. I am on Instagram, YouTube. It's all Spirit Essence by Tara Diana. Spirit Essence by Tara Diana on every single platform. I would love, love you guys to come visit me and hang out for a bit.
All right, great. Well, I really enjoyed having you in the conversations. Thanks for being here today.
I loved, loved, loved this so much. Thank you, my friend.